We've all heard a lot about precision agriculture and the newest farming tech recently, but what does this actually look like on a farm? In this video, we're joined by Matthew Blakely, Head of Farms at Newton Rigg College, for a tour around the dairy farm where some of these precision tools are being used.
What you can see from up here, we have, as a ventilation means, we have the bottom-up curtains on the sides of the sheds, and those are operated automatically, dependent on the wind speed, the precipitation that's falling and the direction of it. They can be controlled with the humidity in the shed or the temperature within the shed. They're currently set when the temperature gets above 14 degrees, they will vent and they will let air in. They work really well in conjunction with our high airy building, but also an open ridge. But it's not a traditional open ridge, it's an open ridge with a light vent in it as well. So it's letting light into the shed. So this part of the shed and over the parlour is the only part with an electric light switch. The rest of the unit over the cows is controlled automatically dependent on the light levels, and they come on and off to keep the lux level at 200 during daylight hours, and in their rest period between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. at 30 lux. So there's no light switches for that. As you can see, those lights are off, but they were on when we first came in the building. They have gone off as the light level has increased. So that's really important to manage that light, and we've seen an increase in milk yield by having the light levels right. And we know that by trialling to turn them off. We turned them off for a period of time and lost milk. We lost 1.9 litres of milk per cow by having the lights off for a longer period of time. So the cows behind me are bedded on recovered manure solids. We have got in the unit here, we use recovered manure solids under the milking element of our cattle. And what that is the fibre from the rumen. Once they've consumed their food, it's passed through their stomach system. It is then excreted. We scrape it down the muck channels, and then 3 times a week we extrude the water and press it, and we end up with this fibre. And this fibre is put on the beds 3 times a week and managed to be a very dry medium, very comfy. As you can see, the cows behind me are really comfortable. And that is a cost neutral process in that the generation of electricity we do on the solar panels on the roof makes enough electricity to power the separation of the slurry. So it's a completely green medium, it doesn't cost money. So we have in front of us here 2 feed barriers. One is a locking yoke and one is a non-locking yoke. We put the locking yokes in to enable us to work on the cows in the straw yards without taking them out of the pen. Without having to take them to a separate yard, we can quite simply turn that handle, and now when the cow puts its head in, that drops in and it can't get out. We can then open them all up again without touching anything, and that means we can have all the cows in, work on them, observe them, do anything we need to do without taking them out of the pen. So efficiency in time and a less stressful environment for the animal because it's used to being in there. So you have in front of us here, these are the drains that we put in. We wash this area after milking and we liquidize the slurry and we wash it down these grids. We purposely put them on a herringbone angle. 2 reasons. One, the cows are less likely to slip on them because the feet are on them at different times. And also, as you wash them up towards the channel, it doesn't splash back because it's on an angle, so you don't get covered in it either. So this gate is on a track, and the gate goes forward and backwards, and this gate comes up and down. So we can, from the parlour, operate this, or we can operate it on the box on the gate. When we first put this in, we had it as a remote control backing gate with a remote control, with the thought being that the man bringing cows up could operate the gate remotely, but it turned out that the remote control was always in the wrong place for one or other of the people. We put up with it and got used to the system, but then one of the remotes broke, and we decided at that point to go to a manual box, so we can then operate that on a box. We can move it forward, we can move it backwards, we can put it down at the same time. Okay, or we can put it up and leave it. So we're in a full wood Rapid S parlour. We have 30 cattle at any one time in the parlour, 15 either side. The cows are wearing pedometers on the front legs, which is their identifier for the parlour. They walk past a sensor on the back gate, which then puts them in number order on each box when they're in the parlour. The parlour knows what milk yield they gave over the last 5 milkings, and it predicts their average yield for that milking. The cow is fed at the trough when the unit is released to milk the cow, and the parlour knows exactly what amount of concentrate to feed that cow, and it is delivered at the point of milking. Before we put the unit on the cow, then our milking routine is to foam the cow's teat with a foam cup, and we go around each 4 teats. We then, once we get to the end, they've been foamed, we go back to the top, to the other end, and each cow gets wiped with an individual towel, and that is then put in the bin. The cows are then stripped, and we test for test the foremilk for mastitis. We then put the unit on if everything's in order. So the box also will test the conductivity of the milk, and it will look at the conductivity in each quarter, and will alarm up. The orange lights will flash if there's an error in any of those figures that are generated above and beyond the tolerance that we put in on the system, which can be different for every cow. When the cow is milked, we post-dip with a product called Valiant, and each cow gets that on its teats as a barrier prior to it leaving the parlour. These cows in front of us, it's not milking time, they're just being dried off, and that happens in the parlour. It's a safe environment, it's clean, they're used to coming in, and they're all dried off and teat sealed in here. So we can feed the cattle independently. If we don't need to feed anything extra, we can feed every stall. So if we want to feed the third cow on that side more concentrate for any particular reason, or we want to give her some concentrate to keep her still, we can alter the amount here on the box or feed as a one-off. We can feed them all or individuals manually. We've got automatic cluster flush on the units, so they will flush post-milking. That doesn't happen until we release the gate. When we let the animal out, all the clusters wash. All the clusters are then flushed with compressed air, and that's a sterile environment now for the next cow. Okay, so cow flow was important when we were designing the unit. We obviously have exited the parlour as the cows would. We've come across the front of the parlour over the rubberised floor. The cows then exit down the exit race. And at this point we wanted to weigh the animal. We wanted to be able to track weight loss against milk yield and keep an eye on the cow's condition. So one of the things we've done is put a weigh scale in here, and every morning, every evening the cows are weighed. They then go present themselves with an aerial under the floor, their pedometer on their front leg, their identifier. We could have asked to segregate them in the parlour. We could have done it yesterday, or we could have a routine segregation for that animal at any time. We can shed them left, right, or let them go straight onto the milking group. So we can milk all our cows in one group and shed them into 3 when we've finished, if we want to. So when the cows have exited the race, we've installed an automatic foot bath, and we're really impressed with this product. We wanted it to always have a consistent product that we were putting the cows through, but also from a health and safety point of view, to remove the need for the staff to handle the product prior to it being mixed. So this machine counts the cows that go through it. You can set the number of times and the number of cows you want through it before it changes itself, and then it will automatically empty, wash, refill and mix the new product without anybody touching the chemical, which was a really, really big point for us. And we have seen an increase in the foot care, and the benefit has been marked in the cow's feet by having that consistent product, and they're bathed daily now through a product that's always at the right volume and consistency. One thing we did do when we designed this, you'll see the cows there are over in the AI race. We can get a full side of cows into that herringbone race to do any procedure on. So if we're TB testing, for instance, we can do it post-milking, and we can do it in the time that we're milking. The cattle can come through, be read or TB tested, without getting them out of the shed again, without having to inconvenience anybody for the rest of the day. So we AI everything in that race, and we treat anything we need to in that race. We can get access to the front, the back of the cow. There's a sliding rail. If there's only one in, we can hold it still, and it's a really easy, accessible race to do anything to a cow.